Okay guys, welcome back to another video. Quick update recap from the F1 last race in Abu Dhabi. Was really good. I think what we previously spoke about, Max and Red Bull basically already won the championship. It was just a formality, so congratulations to them. The big discussion point was around who's going to win that constructors championship between second and third place. Was it going to be Mercedes or was it going to be Ferrari? And I think it was really good. I feel really bad for Charles. I think the strategists at Ferrari have basically let him down a lot this whole season and somewhat of last season. He's just been really, really unlucky with them, right? He's been phenomenal in terms of driving and achieving the results that he has. I think he's just been let down. And that, for me, the last race at Abu Dhabi was sort of the nail in the coffin that showed that throughout the season, basically, right? So what landed up happening was that because Max was in first, Charles was in second place towards the end of the race. You had Perez in third and Russell in fourth, right? But previously to that, because Perez had made contact with Lando Norris, he was given a 5-second penalty, and that meant that if he stayed in third and Russell was in fourth, because of a 5-second penalty, he would obviously fall below Russell. Russell would then move up to third place, and with Russell being in third place, Mercedes would have won the Constructors' Championship in terms of points, knocking Ferrari down to third in Constructors' Championship. So what happened to avoid that from Charles' side and get Ferrari into second place for the Constructors, he basically asked his pit crew, what's the time difference? What was the penalty that Perez had? Could he get Perez above him? And essentially his thinking was that if he was able to give Perez a slipstream, get Perez in front of him, so Perez moves up to second, he drops down to third, but because of the 5-second time penalty, if he was able to still get 5 seconds clear of Russell, he would still drop essentially below Charles. So Charles would then move up to second again because of the time penalty, but he would still be ahead of Russell. So Russell remains fourth, and therefore Mercedes remain third on the constructors and Ferrari remains second. And he kind of asked his pit crew this. They didn't give him a response. He took it into his own hand, the decision into his own hand, and let Perez through. Perez unfortunately wasn't able to get clear of that 5 seconds for Charles, so Mercedes landed up winning the second place constructors and Ferrari took third. But that lack of direction from the team again, Charles had to take it in his own hand. And I'll put a clip here, even at the end of the race. I mean, season's done, right? You can't do anything about it. You still came up second in the race. You came third in the constructors, and he's like, I want to celebrate. Can I do donuts? And they told him, no, go back to the grid, right? I think really disappointing from Ferrari and what they can do and what they're capable of. I think they're being let down with some poor decisions and poor decision making. So that was really terrible to see. But in terms of race, I think it was pretty good, pretty exciting. And congratulations to Red Bull. We'll see what next year has to offer. With the rumors, obviously, that we spoke about, Lewis Hamilton having contact with Red Bull. Would he be moving over there or not? We'll have to wait and see what happens for next year. So F1 over.
Tell me the gap between Checo and Russell. If there's less than 5 seconds, I'll give him the slipstream and I'll let him pass for the last sector. He's got 5 seconds anyway.
Okay, so I said that was the complicated way, but fair play to Leclerc. He wants the complicated way. He's up for it.
He's through. Perez has gone through. So Leclerc has allowed the Red Bull through and has got to stay within 5 seconds to take P2. Unbelievable stuff there.
There was actually a couple of things that I wanted to speak about today. The main point of which was the Top Gear. They've basically released what their 2023 winners or car winners are per category, which I think some are very exciting or I agree with a lot, and some are very controversial. I'll put some pics up on this, but wanted to just run through kind of their list quickly on what they had. So the first one they had was Disruptor of the Year. So which car was the most disruptive in terms of the automotive industry? And they gave it to the Tesla Cybertruck. Again, I would agree with this. I made a previous video on the Tesla Cybertruck and I said for what it is and what it represents, it is probably the most exciting car to come out in recent time. Yes, there's a lot of EVs, yes, there's a lot of electric cars. You're getting really special cars, let's say for example the Gordon Murray car, which we'll speak about a bit later, the Pagani Mola. You're getting a lot of these kind of one-off cars that are being built. The Gamera or Gemera, not sure how to pronounce it, really exciting cars, but those are really hyper cars, right? Those aren't going to be readily available to a vast majority of the population. And you have EVs that are struggling in the market in terms of buy-in based on lack of infrastructure or build quality or combination of all of these, range anxiety, all of these things. And you have the Cybertruck that comes in that looks completely different, that's making all these bold claims, that's really disrupting the space. So I like it, definitely. I would agree, disrupt it to Tesla Cybertruck. Then you've got manufacturer of the year being awarded to Lamborghini from Top Gear. I would have to agree with this, right? From a more generic perspective, in this day and age, everything's becoming hybrid, everything's becoming electric. A lot of cars are losing that, look and feel. We spoke of the C63 dropping down, no more has its V8, has become 4-pot engine. Yes, it's hybridized, yes, it makes huge power. It's lost its way, right? You're having BM that have kind of stuck to their guns with their motors in that sort of space, but a lot of the cars are downsizing in terms of engines, right? You've got Ferrari as well. Ferrari's dropped the V8, in the 296. It's come down. So for Lambo in this day and age to come out with the Revuelto specifically, that's a big Larry V12. You've still got the Urus, which is a V8, and then you've got the Huracan, which is I guess going to be replaced now in the future, still being a V10. I think they deserve Manufacturer of the Year for automotive sort of enthusiasts in terms of what their engines are offering, right? So going to give it to Lambo on that one. Would agree on that. You've got I'm going to skip this bargain of the year being the Dacia Spring. Don't really have too much commentary on that, so going to skip that. Luxury car of the year being the Rolls-Royce Spectre. This one I think could be challenged. You've got the Bentley, which I guess plays more in the GT space. So from a pure luxury perspective, I don't think there's anything that compares to the Rolls-Royce in terms of pure luxury. You've got the Spectre, which has come out pure EV, right? I think Rolls is probably the car manufacturer for pure electric EV cars. You didn't necessarily buy a Rolls for the big V12, right? The V12 was there basically to deliver smooth power, to give you that smooth feeling that was in line with the comfort and the big boat weightiness of the car, feel of the car, right? So for it to go electric, I think for me made sense. You still get that smooth power delivery, you get the comfort, you get the quietness, you don't have that noisy engine. It's all about luxury. You've got now the Starlight roof lining extending into the door panels and on the dash, and it looks really fantastic. 100% agree, luxury car of the year, Rolls-Royce Spectre. Absolutely love the way it looks as well. Hypercar of the year is where I'm going to disagree with Top Gear. So you've got the Gordon Murray car, which has been given the hypercar of the year. Now the Gordon Murray Automotive T50 is, I guess, a car manufactured by Gordon Murray, who was basically designed or inspired the McLaren F1, which is probably the most notable or first hypercar of the time. It's super lightweight, manual gearbox, V12, making in excess, I think it's like of 500 kilowatts or something, so of excess of 1,000 I think odd horsepower, revs to something ridiculous like 11,500 RPM. So on paper, in terms of what it delivers, of the drive, the power to weight output, the manual gearbox, the V12, I agree. On paper, it's a very unique car and one that automotive enthusiasts will or should love. generally I'm just not a fan of it. It just doesn't do anything for me. I don't think it's the best looking car. I think it looks like it was an early 2000s car from my perspective. I don't think it steps the game forward that much. It revs really high. Is it exciting? I don't know. If I look at something that revs really high, I look at the Mercedes AMG 1, right? Yes, it may not be as dynamically smooth, or not smooth, but as dynamically I guess advanced as this, and have all these tick boxes in terms of manual, V12, all of this on power to weight ratio on a piece of paper. But if you're going to compare something that's also unique, Mercedes AMG 1 for me, you've got the Valkyrie, you've got those kind of cars which are high revving motors, F1 inspired engines, you've got sort of a F1 feel steering wheel. I think roof scoops, it looks a lot more menacing and a lot more hypercar like for me than the Gordon Murray automotive car. You then also look at something like the Gemera or the Gemera, right? From Koenigsegg, don't know, Koenigsegg, which is 4-seater hypercar. Different varieties. Yes, I know the sort of stigma around it that it may not work half the time, but you're talking between 1,000 to 2,500 horsepower in a family hypercar, that's got 4 seats, scissor doors that come all the way up for both the front and rear passengers. I mean, if you're talking hypercar in that perspective, that definitely has to be a contender on the list, right? You've got Bugatti. I mean, what they're producing with the Chirons, the different variations, you got the Bolide, certainly have to be a competitive for that kind of running of car. Mercedes again, Aston Martin, Valkyrie, Mercedes AMG 1. I don't know. I think the Gordon Murray on paper looks really good. I disagree with this being the 2023 hypercar of the year. The one that I do agree with is the car you'll ever need, the new BMW M3 Touring. I absolutely agree. I love this car. I think just the M3, M4 platform as a whole, with the now switchable all-wheel drive, huge power, you've got the beautiful interior, racing sort of inspired interior, you've got the tech, you've got the performance, you've got the practicality of 4 doors in the M3 with the Touring, even more space. At the price point, I think the looks are very aggressive. It stands out from the competitors versus, let's say, the C63. I know I'm banging on the C63, but it applies to the Audi as well. That looks like the rest of the range. The M3 looks very different to, let's say, a 340i, right? Just because of the way it's been designed. So M3 Touring, all the car you'll ever need. 100% agree with that. Design of the year, not really going to get too much into it. Not really my sort of type of car. They've put the Toyota Land Cruiser. I agree it looks really good. I agree it looks really nice. Would I call it the design of the year in terms of all cars across all different categories, sports cars, hypercars, SUVs? Don't think so, but we'll go past that. Next one that they've got, track car of the year being the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, the most focused, the most extreme Porsche that's ever been built in terms of the current GT3 RS range versus the previous generations. I would have to agree with that. A big fan of the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. GT car of the year, now this is one that's very interesting, Aston Martin DB12. Right, I have always been a fan of Aston Martin. I've loved what they've represented. I've loved the brand of car. I know they want to get away from it being a James Bond car that's synonymous with it. I think they need to own that. I love Aston Martin. It's just something different. Yes, they haven't been the most reliable or the most well built, but there's just something classy about a Aston Martin, which kind of also goes with Bentley, right? They're just classy, or they're known to be classy vehicles. And then you had sort of the DB11, which tried to modernize or bring Aston Martin into the modern era. Some of it worked, some of it didn't work. The DB12, what it represents, this blend of supercar with GT car, I think they've achieved it. I think it looks phenomenal. Interior is phenomenal. I would actually 100% I agree with GT car of the year. I would actually put it in the running top 5 contenders for car of the year. I know that's a big statement because you've got a lot of big cars. I would put it in the contenders for top car of the year because it is a phenomenal car. It is my biased Aston Martin DB12, one of my dream cars. Would definitely have it in there. Family car of the year, gonna skip over, don't know much about it, the Kia EV9. Then they've got the performance car of the year, which was also very interesting, the Honda Civic Type R. Biased, putting it out there from my side. I've owned a Civic, I've turboed it, I've owned a Turbo Civic, doesn't drive anything like the new one, 100% agreed. Phenomenal car. Performance car of the year is a very big statement, right? I guess you've got the hypercar part addressed. Don't see a supercar on here, so I don't know if performance would come in here. I guess this is then a step below that. You've got the M3, which has kind of been put as the car, all the car you'll ever need, so maybe that takes the M3 out of the running for this. It is a very good car, very good performance car. I think there's a lot of competition in the sector and in the segment. You got the M2. I know I'm harping on the BMWs. You got the M2. I really like the Audi RS5s. Even in the hot hatch segment, there's a lot to compete with here. I would agree. I like it. Do I like it that much to put it on performance car of the year? I don't know, but I'm not going to complain that it's there. Then they've got the innovation of the year, which is the shift system from Koenigsegg, which is, I guess, the manual automatic switch between the gearbox. Again, that's old news. Eco Warrior of the year being the Volvo EX30. To be honest with you, I've got no idea about that. Don't know much about that. And then this is the big one, which I completely disagree with. Car of the year being the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, full EV car. Now, I'm not an EV hater. I like EVs, and I spoke about what I like about EVs and electric cars bringing into the industry. Do I think it is the car of the year? No. I think it is a very good car in terms of what it represents. Hyundai's first EV car, circa 450 to 500 kilowatts, 260 plus kilometers an hour, sub 4 seconds, 0 to 100 time. I'm not denying that. It's a fantastic car. It looks phenomenal. Haven't driven one. Interior looks great. But as car of the year, very, very big statement above everything that we've got. We've got the Revuelto, which has come in with the V12. You've got Merc, coming in. Yes, the C63 has been hammered around its engine. You've got the G-Wagon that I also really like sitting in there. You've got Audis, which have put out really good cars. You've got basically every manufacturer has stepped up its game, right? You're talking about, this was coming back to the Honda Type R competitor, the GR Corolla, the GR Yaris. If not performance car of the year, I don't know. This for me, I don't agree with at all. I would even put something like the Ferraris, right? You've got the 296, you've got the SF90s, even the McLarens. I know the new ones, replacing sort of the 720S or the 765 is a bit controversial. I still would have put that over the Bentley Continentals. There's so many cars, from the Toyotas all the way through to your M2s, your Civic Type Rs, even the SUVs, right? Like you look at the BMW iX, a fan of the new X3, X5, or the new X3 will be coming, the X5, the Cayenne, turbos, the new Range Rover. I mean, putting this above the new Range Rover, the Urus Performante. I don't know. it's a decision that I do not agree with. Let's just put it that way. And that's basically it. So yeah, 2023 is wrapped up. We'll see what 2024 has to offer. I need to go, and maybe next video I'll do what car I'm looking forward to most coming out in 2024, and what cars are coming out that we can look at that should be exciting as enthusiasts. And until then, take care guys. Cheers.